Hi, I'm Lisa Wallen with Directional Learning, and I welcome you, parent and teachers, to our Parent Teacher Edition. Why do we have a Parent Teacher Edition? Because we believe with directional learning, your student can learn, and we want everybody to have an appropriate free reading and spelling program. So we made our program free for teachers and parents to teach your student. And we want every student to learn because they can read and learn how to spell. So make sure that before you teach your students our tongue letters, you can tell these are tongue letters. Notice our characters are sticking their tongue out towards the left or towards the one direction, and they're all chasing that apple. So make sure that your student, before they start tongue letters, that they watched our LMR 123 video. We have a couple of them on direction, and make sure that you review with them the sorting letters. Then we start tongue letters with them. So make sure that you follow every step because we teach in pieces and chunks, and we don't want your student to forget or miss anything. So let's get started. Now it's time to start writing our letters. So do you notice that first I have our columns that we sorted the letters in? Notice all our tongue letters are over here on the left side or the one side. Well, those are the letters that we're going to be writing. Now, when I first showed you the directional column for writing, remember there's only one line. And this is how I build it. Watch. If I take this and move this there, and I take this away, I'm still left with the same directional columns. This side is the left, the one direction. This is the middle, the two direction. This is the right, the three direction. So when we write, I take away this because we need this whole space for writing because that's where the student's going to write the letters. So if I move the middle over here, I tell them that this is still the middle. We just need all this space for writing. So all our letters that have tongues and even the apple on a stick, its bump is going to point towards the left or the one. So it still stays in the column. Watch. If I move the apple on the stick there, do you see that its bump is still pointing towards the left or the one direction? Now, if I take my climbing cat and move him here, notice he's a climbing cat now. See him on the building? This is the building. Now, notice his tongue is sticking out towards the left or the one direction. So everything kind of still stays the same. Do you see that? Even our queen, if we back the queen up. Notice her tongue is still sticking out towards the one or towards the left direction. So that's how we're going to write the letters. So now that you showed them how to build the directional column, and you can show them just like this if you'd like. But I usually just make a line here and I have it set up for them with the directional columns, and I tell them, I go back to the other page that had the sorting letters, and I show them that all these letters here are in those directional columns. So their tongue's still going to be pointing out to that direction. You can take away the lines like I did and move the lines to show them, but they already saw that in the video, just so you know. Okay, so now they should be ready to start writing their letters. So the first letter I start off with is the apple on the stick, and our apple on the stick looks like this. Remember, it used to look like this with a long stick. And remember that cat comes by and he breaks your stick. Here's the cat. You can tell the cat is in that letter. So that's kind of how I have them make it. I'm going to move our letters. So I'll have them pick an expo marker. You can pick yours, what you want to write with. I'm going to write with pink. Have your students select a different color to write with. So what I like to do is I like to have the columns all set up for them. And I'll remind them that this whole side is the left, the one direction. And we're going to be writing our tongue letters like our one-legged dragon. So all the bumps will be pointing towards the left or the capital L building. And then I tell them this is the right and the three direction. And of course, this is the middle where we're going to be writing. And I call this the tall building. This is going to be helpful for the students that really need direction. So now all you need is some expo markers and maybe an eraser. And also, you could go to directionallearning.com and you can download our template. We're going to have templates there for you, and they're free, of course. So now you're ready. So you pick your color and you have your student pick their color they're going to write with. I'm going to write with pink today, and I'll have my student write with blue. So I'm going to tell the student that first letter we're going to write is that apple on the stick. And the apple on the stick points towards the left or the one direction. And there's a little story behind it. Remember, apple on the stick used to have a long, long stick, but now it has a short, short stick. Let me show you why. Well, that cat comes by, so I build the cat, and he breaks the stick, and you cry like a baby. Ah, ah, ah. So I just show them, do you see? Here's the cat. That's our letter. And he breaks the stick. And that's how you get a short apple on the stick. And then you cry like a baby. Ah, ah, ah. So if the student's younger, I'll have them trace the letter. We'll get their pen out and trace it. And I'll say the story. That cat comes by and breaks your stick. And you cry like a baby. Ah, ah, ah. Then I'll have them get their pen out. And I usually have them have thinner markers to write with. I think it looks a little bit neater and they have a little good control. They'll write it, and I'll say that cat comes by and he breaks the stick and he cries like a baby. Ah, ah, ah. So you write it and show them, and then they write it, and you can talk about the story as it happens. Then make sure that they're linking the sound. Make sure you link the sound when you show them, and make sure they link the sound after they write it or when they're writing it. Super important, because this is going to help when we go into reading and spelling. They have to know the sounds of the letters. So that's kind of how it works. Now, if it was an older student, I would just show them that cat comes by and breaks the stick. And I would still do the sound, ah, 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 cries like a baby, ah, ah, ah. Then I would have, instead of them tracing it, I would have them try to build it. Because once they see you, they can usually build it. Now, if they're still having problems making this letter, you can put a little more direction into it. So I call this the building. And for those students that are having difficulty writing that, then what I do instead is I show them, I say, this cat comes by, so I'll build the cat, and then I'll say he goes up the building a little bit, up, and then he breaks the stick. And that's how you get a short, short stick. So, the cat comes by, he goes up the building, then he goes down the building. And that gives them even more direction. Do you see that? So those are the students that really thrive on direction. Once they know direction, then they can learn in a directional way. So you can always bring that element in if they are having problems building the letter. So always link the sound, always show them. I would show them with the story first, have them trace it if they're younger, and then make it ah, and always link the sound. So, and then if that doesn't work, then bring in this element of the direction using this as the building. Okay, our next letter we're going to make is our climbing cat. And our climbing cat, see, this is the cat, but we're going to make him climb the building. So he's going to look a little different. Okay, so for this letter, I just say, I'm going to make the climbing cat, and he climbs the building. And so, same thing. If they're younger, they will trace and say the sound k. Then they will get their pen out and they will make the climbing cat. K. Now, if they're having problems with this, then what you want to do is you want to show them a different way. So for this, I just make it a little more visual. I put a dot here and I put a dot there, and then I just simply connect. And it becomes the climbing cat. Then when they do it, then after they've done the dot, now I have them put the pen where they would put the dot and then connect. And it just kind of makes a visual picture for them. So notice that the cat is climbing the building and his tongue is sticking out towards the one direction or left direction. I remind them. And just make sure that they are repeating the sound. So that's how I show them how to make the climbing cat. I wanted to show you one more way you could teach them to make the climbing cat. Say they don't like making it this way. Say they want to make the climbing cat on the building still. It's still climbing. Notice the apple on the stick has the cat. They can make the cat on the one side just like this, like on the apple on the stick. So I would just show them. If they say they don't like making the cat climb, I get students that say that sometimes because they just want to make it the same way. So let them make the cat like that and just remind them, see, his tongue is sticking out. And you could also do the dots too to remind them like this. Dot there and a dot there, and then they just connect. And then the next time they do it, they put their pen where the dot would be. And they made the climbing cat. And just make sure they're linking the sounds. And I want to also tell you the apple on the stick. Notice how this has the cat, and then the cat goes up the building a little bit there. I usually show them how to make it that way, but if they make it this way, where it doesn't go all the ways up, that's okay. I'm good with that. I think as long as it looks like the apple on the stick, like the letter A, then let them make it that way. So I just showed you how to make the first two letters. Okay, our next letter that we're going to do is our digging dog. And notice our digging dog has the cat in it and it has the apple in it. So when I like to teach the digging dog, I like to teach the apple first. And with the digging dog and the bouncy bed, I like to teach them differently how to write them. I think it's very helpful to teach it differently because if both letters we made the tall building first, that's where the confusion is. Which way is the circle or the half circle, if you want to think of it that way? So I like to just change it up. So with the digging dog, we're going to make the apple first, and then he's going to go up the building. The bouncy bed, when we get to that, for the letters, for the road letters, this letter, we're going to start with the tall building. So I wanted to show you that we just make them differently. So for this letter, we start off by making the apple. So if you can make the apple, I tell them, you can make the digging dog. Let me show you. So first, we make the apple. You can tell them digging dog is holding the apple or likes apples. So we make the apple first, and then that digging dog, his tongue goes up the building. See his tongue going up the building? And can you say the sound duh? What is your tongue doing when you say that sound? Some might say that their tongue is going up or touching the roof of their mouth. So notice when we make the digging dog, our pen goes up just like the digging dog's tongue and just like your tongue. Duh, duh, duh. Say the sound duh, duh, duh. Tongue is touching the top of the roof of your mouth. Now some will see that and feel that, while others may not feel that. You can give them a mirror to see if they feel it, but if they don't, it's okay, because when we do our bouncy bed, the letter that points towards a road letter towards the right, it they might be able to feel their lips coming together, and they'll be able to see that in the mirror. But some will feel it, some won't. But if they can relate to that, then they can relate to their tongue going up and their pen is going up too as they say that sound. So that's one way to make it. So they would get their pen out and you would just say that story. Digging dog has the apple in it, so build the apple, then make his tongue go up. So another way, let me erase that. You could show them if they don't like making the apple, because I do have some students that don't like to make the apple. You could tell them that digging dog, he likes to chase the cat, so make the cat, and then he goes up the building. And that's it. And his tongue is still going up the building. Do you see that? And the pen is still going up the building. So that digging dog, he goes after that cat, and then he goes up the building. Duh, duh, duh. Also, you can put another picture here of the sun, and you can say the digging dog likes to dig during the day. So if they can imagine a sun here, then they can imagine his tongue pointing towards the sun. Also, you can give your paper a little direction. You can say, see this left side or the one direction here? This right here is the beginning of the paper. So they can think of it as beginning of the day, because beginning of the day, the sun comes out, right? And the digging dog likes to dig during the day. So this is the beginning of the paper. Dog likes to dig in the beginning of the day when the sun comes out. So you just gave your paper direction. This whole side is the left, the one direction, but it's also the beginning, or you can think of beginning of the day. So the digging dog, he's kind of the odd man out, and he likes to dig as soon as the sun comes up during the day. The next letter we're going to make is the queen. And guess what? If you can make the apple, you can make the queen. Queen is pretty easy. So I say the queen is holding the apple. So I make the apple first. Then I make her body. And then I give her a dancing leg towards the red reptile tree. So the queen is holding the apple. So we make the apple. Then this is her body. And then I give her a dancing leg towards the red reptile tree. And her sound is qua, qua, qua. So they'll trace it and say qua. And then they'll build it and link the sound to that. So queen is pretty easy. The next letter we're going to make is our goat. And remember, if you can make the apple, you can make the goat because the goat has the apple in him. And the goat's going to have his tongue sticking out like the queen, the digging dog, and the cat. So let's do it. Simply make the apple first. And then we give the goat a jolly smile. And you do your goat sound, ga, ga, ga. Call it the goat sound, ga, ga, ga. So same drill, they'll either trace it or write it from after watching you. So they'll make the apple first, and then they'll give him a jolly smile towards the one direction. Ga, ga, ga. That's the goat sound. Okay, and our next letter is the joking joker. And the joking joker, it has a hat on. So you're going to make a hat and then give him a jolly smile. Ja, ja, ja. And the joking joker sound is ja, ja, ja. So they'll do the same thing, trace it if they're younger, or go straight into writing it. So they'll make a hat first, give it a little space, and then give him a jolly smile towards the one direction. And the joking joker sound is ja, ja, ja. Our next letter we're going to make is the elephant. And the elephant, it has a horizontal line. Do you know what a horizontal line? I tell the student. It's a sleepy line because it looks like a bed. Let me show you. So what we do is I just show them. I go from 1 to 3. This is the building. And I put the elephant to bed because I make a sleepy line that looks like a bed, which is called the horizontal line. So I go from 1 to 3, make a straight line, then I make the cat. So I made the elephant. So this I call his trunk, and I put his trunk to bed from 1 to 3, a straight line, and then he goes after that cat, and he does his baby sound, eh, eh, eh. This is my elephant. Now see this trunk here? You as a teacher or parent can put this line in front of you, make it with your arm, and say that sound, eh, because this is a tricky letter. They get the sound confused with eh sometimes. So if you make this with your hand or arm and make that sound, eh, every time, they'll relate it to this letter. You can even have them put their arm in front of them and make that sound, eh. Okay, so next, they're going to take their pen and they're going to go from 1 to 3. They're going to put his trunk to bed from 1 to 3, make a sleepy line. Then he's going to go after that cat and do his baby sound, eh, eh, eh. Now, another way that you can show them, if they don't like it that way, is this is the building, right? And you can just make the elephant's trunk hit the building like this. So do a straight line, make everything on the one side, then he goes after that cat. So this is his trunk, it hits the building, then he goes after that cat, then he does his baby sound or his baby cry, eh, eh, eh. Notice we just put it all on the one side. So if this is helpful for them, you can do it that way too. But I like this one. Put his trunk to bed in the building from 1 to 3, and then he goes after that cat. Then you could try this way, the second way. Just remind them when you're doing the hand movement, that's the elephant's trunk. So, depending if they're right hand or left hand, I would have them put their arm in front of them, make a horizontal line, and say, this is the elephant's trunk. Eh, eh, eh. They can even move, you can even move your arm towards the 3 direction or towards the right direction as you're making that sound, depending if they're right or left-handed. And that's helpful. So that's what I would do for the elephant. Our last letter we're going to make is the up guy. And the up guy is married to the queen. So he lives on the one side. So I'm going to show them. I just say he has a nose. So I think of a nose when I make him. And notice his nose is round at the bottom. And his sound is. Remember, when you hear his sound, give him a couple of eyes. He's the up guy. So notice how he has eyes. Give him eyes when you hear his sound. He's also known as the schwa. He's going to be one of the most powerful letters. He's going to control all our red letters or all our vowels. So they'll get their pen out and just remind him he lives on the one side because he's married to the queen and he has a round nose. I just make a round nose. Doesn't that look like a nose? And give him two eyes after you hear a sound. And you made the up guy. Then, after they've learned all the tongue letters that you just showed them, you're going to have them erase the board and we're going to write the letters over. Now, simply review with the student after they erase the board. You're going to call the letter, they're going to write it, and say the sound. But make sure when you call the letter sound, you do it in the same order they learned. So it's that simple. And you can help them if they need help. So the first letter is ah, ah, ah. That's my apple on the stick. And they might remember to make the cat and then have them break the stick. And then they'll repeat the sound, ah, ah, ah. Now, if they don't remember, you can write it for them and then they can rewrite it and then repeat the sound. Make sure they repeat the sound. Our next letter that we learned was the climbing cat. So with the climbing cat, his sound is k, k, k. Can you make the climbing cat with his tongue sticking out? And then they'll say the sound, k, k, k. Remember, you can always help them if they need help. Our next letter we learned was the digging dog, duh, duh, duh. And the digging dog is holding the apple. So can you make the apple? You can remind him on that letter for sure. And then make his tongue go up, duh, duh, duh. Our next letter is our queen, qua, qua, qua. Can you make the queen holding the apple? Qua, qua, qua. They'll repeat the sound, remember, every time. Next one is guh, 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 our goat. And the goat has the apple. Notice how the apple's in a lot of these letters? And give him a smile and it goes towards the one direction. And his goat sound is guh, guh, guh. Our next letter is our joking joker. Can you remember how to make the joking joker? He has a smile too. Make his hat and then give him a smile towards the one direction. Ja, ja, ja. That's my joking joker. The next letter is eh, eh, eh. Remember, you can always do that arm movement with that when you say that sound. So make them go from 1 to 3, and then after that, cat. Eh, eh, eh. And remember, that's my elephant. And the last letter is That's the up guy. You can think of it as a nose, or some like to think of it as a smile too. And you heard a sound, give him 2 eyes. And he's also going to be called the schwa. So you've just taught them how to write all the tongue letters. Notice most of them are sticking their tongue out. And something else I like to tell the student is notice that some of our letters have the apple and the stick in them. So I can take a wooden letter and actually fit it in there. See the apple and the stick? See the apple and the stick? And see the apple and the stick? So I show them that relation that a lot of these letters have the apple and the stick in them. And also I find really helpful is getting the wooden letters, the apple on a stick, the digging dog, and actually taking this apple on the stick and showing them that it actually fits in that digging dog. Notice that? And you could do the same thing. You could get the wooden letter for the queen and the goat and make the apple fit right in that letter, and it fits perfectly. So also, I wanted to show you the hand movement that we use. There's a hand movement for the apple on the stick. A lot of times when I call the apple on the stick, I'll say the apple on the stick, ah, ah, ah. And I'll make this with my hand because it shows them that, do you see the cat in there? Or you can think of it as an apple too. Or you can think of it as a tongue too. But it shows them how to make the letter so they can use their left hand or one hand to make this letter here, and it reminds them how to make the letter. And same thing for the cat. There it is. And same thing for the digging dog. I'll say the digging dog and I'll hold my hand, make this hand gesture with my one hand or left hand. And they can do the same thing when they're writing it if they get tricked up. So say they need to make the digging dog. They know the digging dog has the apple. This kind of represents the apple. So it shows them how to make it. So it's just kind of a little trick. Same thing with the queen. The queen's holding the apple, so I would make the hand gesture, and same thing with the goat. So that's the hand gesture for those letters. Also, I wanted to let you know that I do have a hand gesture for the joking joker. Well, this is his hat and this is his smile. So I'll simply make a hat over my head and put a dot over my head. Then I will make a smile go from my nose all the ways to my mouth, and I'll do that to make a smile. So then I'll have the student do it. They'll put the hat, a dot, a pretend hat over their head. Then they'll make a line that goes to their one side of their mouth to make a smile. And that makes it multisensory for them. And they remember that the smile is on the one side or the left side. So that's the hand gesture for that one. Now, for the up guy, I do have a hand gesture for this. Well, he's up, so I point up for them to remember the sound, and that's it. Now that you learned how to write the letters, you can teach your student how to write the letters and link the sounds and characters to it. And remember, when you're done writing the tongue letters, now you can move to the row letters. But make sure before you go to the row letters that you review everything we did, including sorting letters. Then you would review tongue letters with your student. Then it's time to move to row letters. Remember, we break things into chunks for students to remember, so you don't want to miss a step. So we thank you for listening to Directional Learning, and we can't wait to teach you more.